feel like people don't even realize or remember who I was and where I got started. Not to toot my own horn, but like I was like the Cole Bennett Lyrical Lemonade before he was. Like I had the Buff Nerds and we'd drop a video and it was guaranteed 5-10 million views. I think you just recognize opportunities that comes. Even with the film studios, it was never my plan to open my own film studio. It was just one day on set. I'm like, we're paying $300 an hour to rent this spot, and I charge $150 a night for my Airbnb. I was like, I can make way more money with film locations.
Do you have any horror stories from
renting
your spaces?
Dude, it's too many to count. Plumbing burst in the backyard leading out to the back. Got to spend $15K to get it all dug up and replaced. Tom didn't tell me this till years later, but we launched that pre-order, and like overnight we had like 300 orders, and he was just like this is a prototype. We haven't even tested it long term. Does it hold up? That transition's been hard because it's like, yeah, as a filmmaker, you want to create that high quality content that elevates your brand and makes it look good. And it's like, dude, are we really like sitting here with our phones right now making ads and promo content? But that's what works. And sometimes you have to let your ego go of like, oh, like I don't want to be making that stuff. I'm a filmmaker, and what's best for the business? What's best for the brand? What's going to help it grow? Right now, people just expect like, oh, if I start this thing, if it's not profitable within a year, like ditch it off to the new thing, or it's like fail. And it's like, yo, it takes time to like build stuff. And I think right now with just social media everything seems to happen so quickly. If you're going to really build a long-term business that's going to provide you financial freedom, it takes time.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 102 of the 505 podcast. Banger guest today, dude. This is one I've been waiting on for a long time.
Quick question. Have you paid off your parking ticket yet?
I paid off the parking ticket. Yeah. Thank you guys for the merch. That really meant a lot. It should be, as you hear this, it should be getting shipped out.
Yep.
We've been a little delayed from, the manufacturers just taking their sweet ass time.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you guys just being patient with us. We know we've been getting some emails like, yo, Where's the merch?
Where's the merch?
I want you guys to have the merch, dude. I've been getting on these people. I'm like, yo, we got a lot of rocks that need their hoodies,
They need it, dude.
They need it, yeah. And I want you guys to have it. So by the time you have this in your ears, those hoodies, Kostas and I will be in a basement packing them for you. We don't have a team. It's me and Kostas. Just me and Kostas packing those orders. So thank you guys so much for supporting us. It meant a ton. I mean, you guys crushed the last merch drop, and it directly helps the pod. Yeah. So you guys are awesome. It means a ton. But this episode is going to be crazy. This is one of my favorite ones that we did. I got a parking ticket on the way down, and Kostas broke my camera, which I just got back yesterday. So that was really cool of him. But Jakob Owens, dude, this guy's a serial entrepreneur, man. Yeah. He has multiple $1 million businesses. Nicest guy. He brought us into his studio in Arizona. I learned a ton. I felt like I was in a business masterclass for the entirety of the podcast.
Well, what I love about him is that he has these large businesses, but he doesn't want to take them like too big because he still wants to be involved. And on top of that, like he's really created financial freedom, which has led him to take back his time. And like when we hit him up to do the pod, he was like, I can do it whenever. Like I'm my own boss, which is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, I feel like that is the true level of success. When we were on that, or when we were texting him, he's like, oh, you say the day, I'll clear my schedule. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, dude, you don't have to answer to anybody. It's awesome. Another thing too that I thought was really cool is how, he's built these awesome businesses. He's built Tropic Color, Prism Lens Effects, companies that we all know and love. And then he's like, you know what? I'm not done. I'm going to build Shadow. And he partnered with Edgar Esteves, and they made this really cool company. Essentially what they're doing is they're pulling back the curtain behind how they get their jobs, and they're allowing other people to get jobs. So they're like posting jobs in this forum essentially. And they're saying, hey, we have a $20K budget for this music video. It's in Milan, and people get to just bid on it, which is crazy.
And the reason they're calling it Shadow is because you can come on set with them and shadow them and learn and get real world experience, which is so cool. Like I think I want to join and become a member of Shadow because I would love to get more experience on these big sets. So it's just a really cool thing that they're doing. I also really love how whenever he has an idea or he feels like pulled to do something, he acts on it immediately and doesn't wait. And I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in like, it's not the perfect time. I feel like he just acts on an idea immediately, and he's not afraid to fail forward.
Yeah, the other thing too that I noticed while we were just chatting about the things that he's creating is he's playing ball in the spaces that he frequents, right? So he's got, you know, he's like, oh, I have film sets, but he needed the film sets. He was at a film set and was like, damn, these things are expensive, dude. I don't want to pay for these. What if we just started accumulating them? And now he has, you know, a plethora of them on his website, and it's really cool because I think people, when you see people that are doing well in business, you're like, man, I just wanted this idea to come to me. I want to figure out how they're doing this thing. And it's like, well, he's solving problems that are happening for him. He's like, oh, I want cool filters for my music videos. Yep. Let me come out with a really cool filter company. Oh, I don't have film sets. Let me make my own film sets. And I think when you do that, you work harder, you learn so much more, and you're just more eager to go into these things in business.
It's also more authentic when you sell it, because he's like, I'm actually using these things. I have a need for them. This is why you should buy it as well, or use my spaces.
I don't want to give away too much, dude. Let's get into the episode. Roll it, baby. Jakob Owens, give me the one-handed crack presented by Leisure Hydration. I have high hopes for this one. I have a lot of hopes for you. I feel like, you know, you're an athletic guy. It should translate over to the one-handed crack.
Do you guys give people tips?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I think a big thing is people hold too hard, and I
don't want dents.
I like to hold towards the top. You want me to show you how to do it?
No.
Okay.
I don't want any. So I got to come off the table.
Now go.
And just go.
Oh, that was good.
It wasn't bad. Put it back in the air if you can. Shit. Okay.
And then down.
Now set it down. Okay, so unfortunately you dented it. But it had a lot of potential. What else we got? That was good. Good. 4 or 5. Welcome to the show. Here, I'll show you a high one. This is how you do it high. But that one wasn't as good because I kind of spilled a little bit.
Gotcha.
Got your table dirty.
Mine was a little clean.
No, yours is definitely clean. So mine's going to be a little higher than a 5 because it can't be above a 5 if you dent it. Gotcha. That's like a 6.4.
Okay. Mine's never that great.
Yeah.
You'd think after 100 episodes I can do good, but let's see.
Oh, God.
That
one wasn't.
Spillage,
just dented the shit out of it.
The whole thing.
Cheers, baby.
Cheers. Thank you for making the drive.
Yes,
all the way out
absolutely. Here. Only one speeding ticket, which it was a given that we were going to get one. I just wasn't sure if it was going to be me or him. And dude, they're just poaching out here in Arizona. They're in trucks hiding.
They're all along that freeway hiding. I'm surprised. I've driven that road countless times going, because I'm from here in Arizona, going to LA before I moved out there, and then obviously even when I lived out there, coming back here to visit home. And I've never gotten a speeding ticket because I know they're waiting. So I'm always very cautious.
I'm trying to invest in a radar detector, dude. I think that'd be a good purchase for me.
If anyone needs it, it's this guy right here. And if anyone was going to get the speeding ticket, it was going to be you.
I was expecting one, but I appreciate you coming on a ton.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
You have a ton of different things that you're doing. I want to start off by going into your different ventures. So we have Prism Lens Effects. We have, you know, your different studios. We also have Tropic Color.
Yeah.
How do you decide on a daily basis what to put your time into? Because I'm assuming there's so many different things when you wake up. You're like, okay, you're also a fit guy. You work out, family. Yeah, you have 2 new babies. You know, so on a daily basis, we wake up tomorrow on Monday. How do you go about picking what we're gonna put our time into?
What you guys put your time into, or what I put? I mean, it's just, I think for me, it's whatever I kind of feel like that day, as well as what needs the attention. Like if one of the businesses needs a little more love than the other, then focus on that one. And then once that's in a good spot and some of those tasks have been tackled and feel caught up, then it's like focus on this other thing over here. But I usually bounce around between them all. But there's definitely moments, like even with this studio here and the studios back in LA, it's like obviously if I'm very busy focused on Prism and Tropic or doing air production, like I'm not actively as much making the social content for those studios that could be made. And then I'll be like, oh damn, it's been a week or 2 since I've done anything for those. And then I'll spend a day or 2 focusing on making social content so I just bounce around all the time, just depending on what I feel needs my attention, I guess.
There's not like a strict like Mondays.
No, I do not have like a Notion planner schedule. This day and time is this time block. This I just kind of feel it out and work on what I want to work on when I want to work on it. And I feel like that's the best for me because it's not like I feel like I'm forced to do something. When you're forced to go and I have to do this thing, like I go into each, I guess, day, you know, picking what I want to work on, and it's exciting to bounce around. My brain just works that way. Ever since I was a kid, I was just, if you go back and ask my mom, like the amount of like board games I drew. I made my own magazine. I was designing golf courses, shoes. I was making home videos. I was always making and doing stuff. I was just always bouncing around and being creative. And I just feel like that's how my brain works. Like just working on a bunch of different things all at once. And like right now, me and Tom, he's back at my house right now, and we're working on starting up this new venture and business that's kind of for creative entrepreneurs, like creatives that have that entrepreneurial bug, that want to do more than just be a filmmaker or just more than be a DP. And so we're working on that right now and spending all weekend on that. And then come Monday, I'll probably bounce back to making some Prism content, working on the next product or whatever, So I don't know. I just bounce around all the time.
And I think a lot of people too, you hear people saying like, oh, just focus on this one specific thing. And I feel very similar to you where I get bored. I'm like, dude, I do this one thing.
But to that end, I will say that is important, and I would recommend that because that's what I did at the beginning. I was all in on music videos, and I was a music video director. Everything I did was directing, editing music videos, putting them up on my YouTube channel, and I was able to essentially kind of master that and build an audience and make money off of that. And then from there, it's like, all right, what else do I want to do now? But like, had I from the jump, without any established name as a music video director or a career or whatever, just like been trying to do a bunch of things from the start, I don't think I'd be where I'm at today.
Wait, pause.
Chase, you're back. What's going on?
Yeah, dude. I'm actually only here to tell you about Artlist, which is the only thing I care about because it's my favorite.
You get 2 months for free if you sign up with our year description down below.
2 months?
2 months is just locked and loaded into that little situation.
A year.
I know.
That's insane, actually.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
Can I get that code?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you listen to the pod? And are you going to hit that link down
below? The thing
below?
is, I do use Artlist. My favorite thing about Artlist is the footage looks good. Like, it's not like your classic stock footage where it's all just like blank and blah. It's like shot on some sexy camera, usually like a red or an Airy, and it's like contrasty and there's like grain. It looks like you're making a little movie, and you can use that for treatments. You can use that for your own stuff. Maybe plug and play if you need a little shot. It is so good.
You know what you can also do with this stock footage is they have a little AI situation, right? And it'll give you sound effects that go with that shot.
That's wild.
You don't even have to go find them. It's just literally like, oh, you got this shot that has like a lightning thunderstorm going on. It's like, boom, rain sound, thunderstorm, boom.
So you have your stock footage, you have the sound effect for your sound design, and then you get your track, your instrumental off of Artlist.
Bang.
What I love though about Artlist, because what we were saying is time is money, right? You got to save time to make more money.
Yep.
What I love is that you can save time by using like their search features. So you can search by like genre or mood, and you can use your like keywords, and you find these tracks way easier. Or if you downloaded a song previously that you really like, you can search by similar song. So if you're like, I like the vibe of the song, I need something similar, boom, you go to similar tracks and download that.
One-stop shop, dude.
I love being dialed in. Hey, let's get back to this Jakob Owens episode.
How do you know when it's time, or when you've gotten that one thing to a place of being able to now jump into a new venture?
I think when it's self-sustaining enough, like when you have people in place that can help, like for example, like Prism, like early on, like I remember me and Tom stopped so many of our production jobs because we had to build and grow this thing and work on that, and there was no one that was going to do it for us. And then we got it to a spot where we moved here and we hired out like an operations manager that handled all the back end and just inventory and emails and just shipping and schedule coordinating with the part-time people we had helping ship and stuff. And so it's like, once we didn't have to worry about any of that stuff, that freed us up to like, all right, now let's go work on this or do this. So I feel like you can move on to the next thing once you've built something up enough to where you can put people in place to kind of just keep it alive for you, or not. I don't know if keep it alive is the right word, but help it just kind of sustain and keep moving without your full attention, if that makes sense.
Is your business partner Tom, I know he's a DP, I know he's a camera operator, but in your businesses, in Prism Lens Effects and Tropic Color, and in also your coaching stuff and mentorship things that you guys do, is he doing something different? Like when you saw Tom back in the day, were you like, this guy compliments me doing X, Y, and Z?
No, he's the yin to my yang. Like we met, he was obviously a DP. I was a director. I mean, yes, I was a DP too, but my main thing was directing. So he was the, director DP combo, and we got along really well. And I was very much more like the forward facing guy on camera who had a following. I'm much more vocal about stuff, and he was kind of the more meek, artsy, if you will, guy that was kind of behind the scenes doing a lot of that stuff. And so we've just always complemented each other really well. Even from like, he hates social media and I love building and creating reels and content, and so it's like I handle that stuff and he handles a lot of like back-end website design and graphic design and different build outs that like each business takes on the back end, which is the stuff I think is boring and not fun, but it's like crucial. So it's like we balance each other out really, really well in that regard. And I think it's important to find a business partner. That's like one of the most important things I think in a business partnership, is that you guys aren't experts at the same thing. Like the one person is good in this area, and then where they fall short, the other person is great at or likes or excels in. And I think that's when you find like the best, most successful partnerships, is when you guys can kind of fill all those roles in that way and support each other.
And so then when you're bringing on other people as a CEO to these companies, right, where you're like, okay, this is self-sustaining enough, I can jump into the next venture. What do you look for when you bring somebody else on? Are you looking for someone who's, a killer at one specific thing, or a master of like a bunch of different things?
Really, it's just I think it's usually in an area that we don't want to do anymore. Like, mind you, like, I don't want there to be the impression that these companies are some massive thing where we have all these employees and it's like, we're still very small. We keep it small intentionally because for us that keeps it fun and allows us to feel like we can go do these other side ventures and not be so worried about, what's going on over here and having to upkeep that. And so it just keeps it light and fun for us. But it's like at a certain point I remember with like Tropic and Prism, I was also like answering DMs, early on and doing all that. And it got to a point where I was just like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. And so it was like, okay, let's hire someone that can do that and also do outreach to people. Cause it's like to have to sit there and like cold DM or outreach or email people, or like if someone tags us to reach out, like, hey, saw you use your filter, would you want to become an affiliate? Like all that stuff I was doing, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it takes too much valuable time away from me. And so that's usually when we try and hire someone. It's like, okay, what's the thing we don't want to do anymore? And then we find someone to fill that position. And early on with Tropic, Tom handled all the like customer support emails, like, hey, I don't know how to use this product, this and that. And finally got to a point where it's just like, dude, like, I don't want to do this anymore. So then he hired someone.
But I also, like, we talked about this actually on the last podcast we did, is like learning how to delegate is like, what you're delegating is an important part of the business, but maybe it's not the best use of your time because you're trying to scale this thing, and there's other people that can maybe take that off of your plate to do it, and you can worry about how can I grow this thing so we can get more sales.
Yeah, I mean, delegation, we really didn't even start delegating with any of our companies until just a few years ago, because me and Tom, we like learning new things. We like getting our hands dirty. We like being involved. It's creative and fun for us, and I think it keeps things interesting for us. And yeah, like delegation for us has really only happened within, I think once we moved here to Arizona, kind of like we were incorporated for both Tropic and Prism, like in California, and then we reincorporated here. We moved Prism from LA to here, and I think once we made that move is when we started like, okay, let's start delegating and getting help in the different areas of the businesses. And that was probably like three years ago.
And which came first, Prism or Tropic?
Tropic came 2016. I was like damn near 8 years ago now.
How many did you start with when you first launched that site? How many different digital
products? Not a lot. And we literally, me and Tom were just talking about this today, because it all started with when I had my YouTube channel back in like 2011, 2012, I'd get questions like, how do you shoot your videos? Like, why do they look like this? Like my videos with Kyle and Futuristic. And I wrote a JOP super duper video manual, how I shot my videos, like camera settings, angle, like everything. And I sold that on Big Cartel. And that was like essentially the start of my journey selling digital products. And then people were asked like, how do you color your videos? And it's like, oh, like I color them myself. And so then I started selling LUTs. And then at a certain point I met Tom in 2013. So 2 years after I kind of started that, and he kind of did a video guide PDF with me. He saw I was like making and selling that, and he wanted to be a part of it. And we had been now working together for like a year doing, kind of leveling up together. And so we made that and put that out. And I remember one of the days, I think the day we launched, and then like the next day or so, I was sending him like $1,000 here, $2,000 there, like every other day. And he was just like, yo, like, is this real? Like, did you mean to send me 2,000 or 200? I was like, no, 2,000, that's your cut. And he was like, wait, what? Like, I just got paid $1,000 to spend 16 hours on set deeping this music video, and I just made 2x that, like, while I slept last night. And so I think that was like the light bulb moment for him. And then he was like, dude, I want to do more. Like, what else can we do? And I was like, well, I really want to do this. I had ideas for other products. And then that's when we just formed Tropic Color. That was in 2016.
Were you creating all of those digital assets, just you two, or were you outsourcing?
No, we did everything ourselves.
Wow.
We did everything ourselves, from the LUTs, the grain. We went and bought a bunch of, like, one of the first things we did was like these light leaks and grain textures and just different film-esque overlays. And we rented the film cameras, got the film, at the time we didn't know how to load like 16 millimeter film. So we hired our friend who was a first AC that knew how to load 16 millimeter film, and we shot gray cards and just got the film scanned and digitized it. Like, we did everything ourselves. And then the light leaks, we rented a bunch of lenses, shout out to Old Fast Glass, vintage lenses, anamorphic, and just into a black void space, we're shining different lights and stuff to create those. And that was, like near 8 years ago. And that was like the start of Tropic Color. And everything we made, we just made ourselves and sold on our really, looking back now, it seems like a crappy Squarespace account. Now we're on Shopify, but back then, just all stuff we made ourselves and sold on Squarespace digitally.
When after you've made these first few, because I did a sound effect pack, what was it, last year? A little over a year ago?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and it took me like 8 months to make the damn thing, but to do it again, I made the whole site, learned how to make emails, learned how to make a funnel, learned how to do the entire back end. And I'm like, oh, I could do this again in like 3 weeks if I'm like, when I do it again, it'll take me like a month. Do you feel like now when there's something to add to the site that friction is just so much
it's gone.
Like,
it's just like so instant. Cause like now we've done it for so long and yeah, I mean, it might take like a week, if that. So
crazy to think.
Like we just released this like really cool lens vignette pack where we went to Old Fast Glass, and they have like just some of the most rare, unique vintage lenses in the world. And we shot on an Arri LF open gate with these lenses, so you kind of get these. You're looking like almost inside the lens, and we shot them against white, and we inverted them in like post. And Tom took probably like 2-3 days just like working them all and taking the footage in Photoshop and making these mats and overlays from that footage. And then we built the landing page, I made the promo video, and like that whole time span from going to LA, shooting those, to putting them together and having them live on the website was like a week. Wow. Yeah.
And you're having these, couple $1,000 days. Is that right off the jump once you guys launch? And how were you marketing it? Was it just based off of your personal brand, or were you guys running ads?
Yeah, no, we didn't even start running ads till a couple years ago. But initially it was just, I feel like people don't even realize or remember who I was and where I got started. Not to toot my own horn, but like I was like the Cole Bennett Lyrical Lemonade before he was. Like I had the Buff Nerds, and we'd drop a video and it was guaranteed 5-10 million views. And so it's like I look back at that channel and there's over almost 900 million views. And so I had a strong following, I had a strong presence, even though I have like less followers now today than I did back then on Instagram. Like just there was a lot of eyes on me, and what I was doing, people bought into. And so if I was putting out a new product, people went and bought it. So we didn't have to do like a lot of like ads or any, we didn't even know what ads were or how to even do that back then. So it was just like when we drop it, people would grab it. Yeah, we didn't really have to do too. And the Reels wasn't around back then, so there's no Instagram Reels to like try and promote. It was just, Instagram Stories wasn't around. So it was just, I guess, just like YouTube, really, I guess.
I mean, that's crazy because now it makes so much sense. It's like you grow a personal brand, you sell something, whether it's, most likely a digital product. Some people have physical products. Did you always have that foresight to be like, okay, I want to build a personal brand, but I want to monetize in more ways than just making videos?
No, I think it just happened. And I was able to recognize the opportunity there. It's like I just started uploading music videos to YouTube, and they start getting a lot of attention. I'm getting questions on them, and funny enough, shout out to my mom. I always talked about everything with her, and she was just like, if you're getting all these questions, why don't you put together like a little book? And I was like, oh, like, yeah, I should. And I started writing and putting together this book. And then, you know, I was like, oh, well, I should probably sell this. Like, it's got a lot of value in it. And I think I put it up for like $19 or something and put it on, you know, my Big Cartel site, YouTube, and it just started selling. And then it was like, oh, like, I can make money like digitally without working, by just like through my knowledge or things I'm creating like just online. And then from there, it's like, okay, now all these other ideas start coming, and you recognize opportunity. I think you just recognize opportunities that comes, even with the film studios. It was never my plan to open my own film studio. It was just one day on set, I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, damn, we're paying $300 an hour for this place. And I already owned 2 different properties here in Arizona that were Airbnbs. I'm like, we're paying $300 an hour to rent this spot. And I charge $150 a night for my Airbnb. I was like, I can make way more money with a film location. It's like, and I'm already a filmmaker, a cinematographer. Like, I know what looks good. And so I sold one of the Airbnbs, and I bought my first house in LA, which I turned into the Honeymoon Inn, which is a actual home at the time, turned it into a film studio, and it took off. And then I was like, oh shit. Then 3 months later, I bought the Eclectic West out there, and then Tom was like, yo, I want in, like, and we did the barracks. And so it's just like, just as things go, you recognize opportunity, and then you can't be scared to like try and go for it. You know what I mean? Because I could have easily been like, oh man, I don't know, that's kind of scary. I don't know anything about opening a film location, and like all these things could go wrong. I don't know, like that's a big risk also financially. And I could have easily psyched myself out of it, but I was just like, nah, like I'm going for it, and it worked out.
So when you get the first studio, Honeymoon House, you know, put down the money. Do you put 20% cash down on something like that?
I always do 20% down, because then you don't have to deal with mortgage insurance. But
I heard you say this on another pod. Okay. So we get that house. Do you then, is it immediate that it's like filling up the mortgage payment, or did it take a few months? You're like, damn, dude, we're spending on this to get it all set up.
Yeah. So I went into it just like, if I could literally have enough bookings that just pays my mortgage, so I'm not paying for a mortgage in LA, and I have a house and I have a spot in LA that I can live at and I don't have to pay for, like, that would be cool. Like, I didn't set my expectations of like, oh, I'm gonna make this a booming business, and I was like, I would be totally fine with that. And you know, it took probably 2-3 months to get up and running. I mean, we had to fill it with all vintage furniture and props, and we had to do, you know, some stuff to it to get it ready. So those first 2 months after dropping the 20%, probably spending another 50 to 60K in just vintage furniture to fill this whole house and design it out. There was moments where I'm like, dude, what if no one books this? Like, I was terrified. And, you know, luckily I had enough, still the following I had was helpful, but also I had a lot of connects in the industry that, you know, are always looking for new places to shoot. I was still very much, you know, I'm a director. I have a lot of director friends and stuff. And so once I opened it and started talking about it, like, people just started booking. And within the very first month, we made like 5,000 or 6,000. And I was just like, wow. Like, so we already paid the mortgage plus made a little money. Like, that's awesome. And it just kept going up and up. And that's when I realized, like, oh, there's like, could be like another business venture, is just opening film studios. And so, yeah, jokingly, have you guys heard of the Eclectic West or been out there at all?
I've heard of it. I saw it on your website.
Yeah, it's like 40 acres just outside LA.
Got like a plane and stuff.
Yeah, and so jokingly, I think we're like 3 months into the honeymoon, and me and my wife were going down to the flea market. And she's like, oh, we should do another. And like, I was like, don't tell me that. And so like, I literally got on Zillow while we're like driving, and I knew I always wanted to have my own like ranch. And so I was like, I pictured just my own film ranch. And so I just like went and started pinch zooming in like the Adelanto, El Mirage high desert area. And I found like 40 acres for like $135K. And I was just like, damn, like, look at this. And I was looking at pictures, and I'm like, if like, I know what I would shoot here, I could see a movie being shot here. And it's like, if I know I feel that way, then other people will feel that way too. And I knew like the things I wanted to add to it, like the gas station and the airplane crash and whatnot. And so I went out and saw it, and within a week I had that place. Wow. But again, terrifying. Like, what if I just bought this place, and I'm gonna obviously spend the next few months and a bunch of money like building it out, building these new sets. What if no one wants to drive an hour and a half outside LA to come shoot here? Like, my wife thought I was like, she girlfriend at the time, but she was just like, this is so stupid. Like, why are you doing this? And I was scared. I'm not going to be like, even front. Like, I was like, what if no one comes out here? But then it worked. Like, so
what would you tell someone who, because we have, you know, people listening to this podcast, maybe they're scared of moving to a new city. You know, maybe they're in a small town, you know, in the middle of America, and they want to move out to New York or LA and pursue something, and they have that gut feeling telling them that they want to do it or they're called to do it, but they're scared. And it seems like even though you had the fear, you still acted on it like immediately.
Always. Like, because you can't give yourself too much time to think. I mean, I was the same way. Like, I'm very much a homebody. Didn't like spending the night at like friends' house and stuff growing up. I'd always call my mom, hey, come get me. And so I'm from here. So even just moving to LA, even though it's, you know, a 6-hour drive, I went to school at ASU, which is 5 minutes from my house where I grew up. So it's like I was never far from home. So even for me to solo move to LA, even though I was already kind of getting work, it was like still a very big risk for me, and like was scary, and like, but I knew that's where I needed to be if like I wanted to build a career in film. And then me being able to do that, obviously it helped tremendously, and I was able to really build, you know, a name for myself out there and connections. And that's then what allowed me to do everything I do now. Like, I wouldn't be able to have the film studios or Tropic or Prism if I didn't do everything that I did in LA. So yeah, I mean, anything worthwhile is going to be like scary and take some work. And yeah, just, you know, sometimes you're gonna fail. Like, there's ventures I've started that have been risky, that I've invested, whether it's my own investment, like my own venture, or invested in someone else's venture. I've lost money. You know, there's been lots of times I've taken L's, but lots of times I've taken big W's too. So yeah, I know things can be scary, but you got to go for it. And if you fail, learn from your mistakes, and you take that with you into the next one. But yeah, I've definitely had my fair share of L's. So
with Prism Lens Effects, okay, when we make that company, was that the first time you had done a physical product, not something that was just digital?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get the first samples of these lens filters. Yeah. Were they up to standard? Did you have to go back and forth a ton with them? Were you happy with that first batch?
Yeah, funny story. It's we basically just got we ordered as many different pieces of glass and prisms and things that we could, and just played with them all in front of the camera. And then we found the two that we liked the most, and we're like, all right, now how do we mount these? Because there's no way, they're just pieces of glass, right? And the main one being like the prism, like the triangle prism. And then Tom, being the MacGyver that he is, again, it's like the yin to my yang. He's very like handy and good with tools, and he built a custom drill rig that allowed him to drill glass without breaking it. Then, you know, we built the mount with the glue, and he figured that all out, and we had a prototype. We tested it, and we're like, dude, this is sick. And we launched a pre-order, and Tom didn't tell me this till years later, but we launched that pre-order, and like overnight we had like 300 orders. And he was just like, dude, I don't even know, like, this is a prototype. We haven't even tested it long term. Does it hold up? Does it, you know, how can I mass produce it? Like, that one prototype said it took him like a week to like really figure out, like, even that one, like once he figured out the system, like, I don't know. So anyways, he never told me any of this, but we figured it out. We were in this 250 square foot downtown LA shared space shack kind of warehouse thing, just freezing our asses off during the winter, drilling glass, gluing, grinding metal. Like, it was, so I think a lot of people don't know that part of the story of Prism, and think like, oh, we just drop ship stuff, and they don't see that early journey. And there's a very few people that were in there with us from the start, my wife being one of them, who at the time was just my girlfriend, and she'll tell you countless stories of how she was just in there just working with us, and we're just figuring it out, just two filmmakers literally figuring out how to like start and run a physical product business. And there was no huge like necessarily dream, vision, or aspirations for it. It was just like a fun little side hustle that we wanted to see ourselves and use in our own work, because we were always playing with like objects in front of the camera on our music videos. And so it just started off as like, this is something we want to use and see. This is a fun project, and it turned into like, oh wow, there's something here. And then that's when we were just started planning out like, okay, where do we take it now?
And I feel like when you do that though, when you make something that you want to actually use, there's, you know, usually a very high chance that other people will find it useful,
right.
and then it starts to take off. But was there a moment in the beginning where you've invested a lot of money into Prism, you and Tom, and you're like, damn dude, like we don't have necessarily a winning product yet? Or from the get-go were you like, people are buying this is working?
Yeah, I honestly, it was probably more the latter. It was just like right away, it was like people were buying it, it's working. It's like, all right, they like this product, what's the next one? And then we knew we wanted to get into filters, and so we figured, like, if you go back and look way in the archives, we had these 3 very like art project looking kind of handmade filters that we had built in the warehouse, prototypes, and then went to Hawaii, did a big trip to Hawaii to just like test them out and have fun with them, and they looked really cool. And then we started selling those, and that was like the next thing, and we just kind of always just one after the other. But yeah, right away, I would say right away we were just kind of going with the flow. There wasn't necessarily any thoughts of or even really struggles right from the start, and it was fun. Like I think it goes back to like we just like creating and building things. So whether that's a film studio, whether that's working on a short film, or whether that's making, you know, these filters or these, you know, mountable prisms, like we just liked making and building things and seeing growth and progress, and I don't know, that's fun for us.
What was the process like of like MacGyvering these prototypes into making or finding a manufacturer that's able to produce like screw-on lens filters?
Yeah, so
I'm dying, guys. I'm dying.
I need to go back and find. I'll see if Tom can dig up some old photos and videos off his computer of just like our original warehouse. But we probably manually did it, and still to this day, there's a few that we build by ourselves with our hands. But it was probably in there in that warehouse for, I want to say from 20, when did we launch? 2019, end of December. We were like probably 2 or 3 years. We were in that, or 2 years in that first warehouse. Then we moved to one right down the street that was a little bit bigger, and we were just literally buying the glass and we were assembling them by ourselves. Like, so at this point, we still didn't even have like a manufacturer. And then the prisms, we're still drilling and gluing and doing everything, but at a spot that was like 600 square feet now instead of like the 250 it was before. And then from there, once we moved from LA to Arizona, like 3 years in, that's when we're like, all right, we don't have the time for this anymore, and there's other things that we want to do, and we're starting really getting into all the studios and opening those up. And so then that's when our operations manager we hired helped us find a manufacturer overseas that could just help us with every design we had. Yeah.
And you talk about that the friction is about a week for Tropic Color of create or inception of idea for a digital product to being able to be live on the website. How long is that process of, I have an idea for a cool new filter? Because you posted something recently, I want to say on your story, you were testing like a ghost one.
Mm-hmm. Well, that one's out right now.
Okay, cool.
For pre-order, and yeah, we've been shipping some out already. But yeah.
And so you come up with the idea for, this would be a cool filter to have this ghost effect.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to come up with the idea to final product in hand?
So that's a good question. It's different sometimes, but like basically how it usually starts is just a piece of paper and just drawing out sketches, and then from there it's like, this one could be cool. Then Tom will do a CAD drawing of that, and then we send it to our manufacturer and be like, hey, can you make this? They send us a prototype, which usually takes like a month, and then from there it's like, okay, we need to fix this is too big, or there needs to be another whatever, right? We have notes and send those notes back, then same thing, probably another month, and then that process goes back and forth until we feel it's right, and then we just mass produce them.
Wow. Okay. So with Prism Lens Effects, we talked right before the pod, and you said if you wanted to, you could go out and get a huge investor, you get millions of dollars in capital, but you've chose to keep it with your small, tight-knit team.
Right.
Why do you choose to do that? / what are the future in your mind do you see for Prism Lens Effects? Is it a team of 10 and you're like really happy with that? Is it a team of 30 and that's self-sustaining and you're completely out of it? Or do you and Tom just really enjoy being in the weeds and like it's your baby making all this stuff together?
That's a loaded question. I think we've talked about this all the time. Personally, we keep it small because we like having our hands in everything, but also like the pressure of like, as soon as we take on millions of dollars of investment, you know, that becomes our thing now. Like we got to stop all productions. We got to stop all these little side ventures and this company and this, and like our focus now becomes this. And I don't think we want to do that. Like we like, you know, running other businesses and companies and being creative here one day and then doing this. Like if we had to both just like quit all that, set that all aside to like only focus on Prism, I feel like we'd be unhappy with that. And we could surely do it. And I think we could blow it up much bigger, much faster, much quicker, and be like even more, you know, worldwide than we are now. But we like the indie nature of it. It keeps it fun for us. Like we like coming up with a product, getting the prototype, testing it ourselves, launching a pre-order, posting it to Instagram, and on to the next thing. Like, and yeah, I think it's just keeping it small like that keeps it fun, light, nimble, and I think there's just not all this pressure, and I don't want to live a life where I'm feeling like I want to be creative, and it's hard to be creative when you feel like there's all this pressure on you. And so I don't know, I think it's just keeping it small and intimate. And sure, like I would love to grow and get bigger, and I would personally love to grow, get bigger, and then sell it, like and exit and have it still live on beyond me. That would be cool. I think that's kind of both of our end goals, is like it would be cool to just like one day sell it and exit to whoever wants to buy it.
Yeah, so keep it going.
Yeah.
Do you find that with all of these different ventures, is there one specifically that you just continue to funnel the money back into, and is there another one that pays you specifically, or how do you have it set up in your business model? Because obviously you got to live, you got a family to provide for.
Right.
What have you found? Because like even for the pod, every fucking cent that we've made
goes back into
a lot
of people don't understand that. Like they'll like I want to be transparent too and say like we've made a lot of money, but a lot of that money goes back just straight back into the business and growing it. And so like there's also a lot of operational costs with running any business, and you'd be surprised, even to a digital asset business, there's a lot of cost to that. And so especially when you get to the point that we are, like maybe early on, if you just have like a little store with 15 products, and yeah, maybe not, but like where we are, there's a lot of costs associated with it. And so, yeah, like we honestly don't even pay ourselves that much, to be fully transparent. Like we don't pay ourselves that much. We just pay ourselves enough to keep working on the brands and keep it healthy and moving and growing. And yeah, but everything for the most part goes back into the businesses, or just expanding on the businesses, or goes into starting another business that we want to do. Yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
How do you decide how much money to delegate towards marketing costs?
That's a good question. We really don't. Like, we just kind of wing. To be honest, like I'm not the most business savvy person in terms of, I feel like I'm just like, I've got a good pulse on what works and whatnot. But like both Tom and I didn't go to business school, and we're not very number oriented. Like we're not sitting in meetings going like, okay, this is what we have money to budget towards marketing this month and this and that. We just kind of like create what we want to create, put out what we want to put out, make sure our accountants are like, cool, your accounts are healthy, like, you know, and we just keep it trucking. But we've never ever sat down and been like, all right, this is the money we have allocated to, you know, ad spend this month. It's like, if it's a 2x, cool, it's a 2x, like let's keep it spending, like so yeah, I don't know, we don't really worry about too much. They never have, even from day one. Like I've never built a business plan ever, and like I know there's a lot of people that obviously build and start business plans before they start any business, and look, maybe people are looking at me like, dude's a fucking idiot for going into it, but it's like, it's worked out for me. Like it works, it's worked for me. So yeah, I don't know, we're just not super analytical like that. We just kind of go with what feels right, and if it's something we really want to do, we pursue it. And I feel like that for the most part that works out. When you're passionate about something, like you're going to put in the effort that it takes to make that thing win. And that's, you know, kind of usually been the case for a lot of everything we've done, from the studios, Tropic, Prism, my production company.
No, I mean, I think that it shows you guys love what you're doing. The products are selling well.
Yeah.
And you know, Kostas has actually tried. How many of the filters do you have?
I own 3. My mom was kind enough to buy me 2 for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
I was gonna ask you this because I emailed your customer service and I was like, would you guys be willing to send me a filter in exchange for free content, and you guys actually denied it. And you said,
thank God, it was a smart move.
Yeah.
You know.
The ROI would have been super low on that.
just burning the money.
But so I was wondering, but you guys do an affiliate, and I do have an affiliate link with you. So is there a reason why you decide to, and maybe it was like me specifically, or is it just you guys don't decide not to do product in exchange for content?
So we do. It honestly probably depends on who answers the message,
So
whether it's Anna,
him.
Marshall, or me.
Okay.
If you reach out to me, chances are you're gonna get a free product, and probably way more than you would have ever thought. Like literally, I have a story last night. DP DM'd me on Instagram last night and was just like, hey, like I really want to get your new handheld Ghost Effects filter. It's sold out. I see the back orders like pretty lengthy. Like, what can I do to get my hands on it? I'm shooting a movie next month. He's like, I need 2 other filters as well. And I was like, look, just order those 2 other filters and I will go down to the warehouse and I'll throw that. I have a separate like handheld Ghost Effects filter stashed on the shelf somewhere for me. If I need to use it, I'll throw that in the box for free. Don't worry about it. And he was like, cool. So it's like, you should have just reached out to me because
I wasn't making a movie.
Yeah, that's what it was.
No, but it's
short
like
form content's gotta make a movie.
my the warehouse manager Anna, she's she hates giving out free stuff, but she doesn't understand like the value in that, and it's like I do. And then Marshall, our other guy who handles like a lot of social and DMs and stuff, he'll be like, yo, this person, he'll get those messages and field them himself, or he'll then like forward it to me and be like, what do you think, dude? Yes, no. And so but you probably got Anna on that day.
Okay, so another question. I for a year and a half was touring, doing a lot of concert photography and video, and so I have become like pretty well I guess, what's the word I'm looking for, like involved within the concert space.
Yeah.
Are you aware of how many people in the concert space use your guys' filter, and are you aware of like the impact you guys have had of like pretty much everyone within the concert space? I can't speak for like sports because Braden
more
sports.
Yeah.
But like in the concert space, like, I mean, your guys' filter, like I would argue that almost every photographer or even videographer like at least has one of your guys'
That's so interesting.
filters.
And I feel like I've noticed that, but I'm probably not aware to the degree of what you're saying. Cause like I'll look at our tags and I see our mentions on stories and photos, and like a good majority of it is concert stuff. And I know there's some cool concert photographers out there that have users. I repost their stuff all the time. And so I'm definitely like aware of it, but maybe not to the extent of like, dude, like 9 in 10 people might have it in their bag or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? So
you guys are out there.
That's really cool. No, that's really cool. So
how do you deal with, if you deal with this at all? Because I saw you posted this on your story of people knocking your product off, which I feel like is going to happen regardless.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Physical product.
Look at Apple.
Yeah.
Like look at the fake, or not fake, but just knock off iPods, or not iPods. Jeez. Wow. Just, AirPods.
Yes.
That you can find anywhere and everywhere. So it's like if a $1 trillion company can't stop people from making knockoff AirPods, like what are we gonna do? So we always had the mindset of kind of just brushing it under and keep letting them be a step behind us. Like I guarantee you we're gonna see knock off Ghost Effects filters within the next few months for sure. Like it's just gonna happen, and that's how it's been every step of the way. From the original, because we had on the original triangle, the mountable triangle, we had a patent on that. No one, we had a patent pending. No one had it. It didn't exist, and we had the paperwork for it. And all of a sudden, we just started seeing it everywhere. I saw someone selling it on their website that was in the U.S. I contacted him. I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, we have a patent. You can't sell this. Oh, I didn't know. Like, I just found it from some supplier, and it's like, so it's gonna happen. And I think no matter what physical product you make or do, you're going to have companies, people knock you off and try and do what you're doing. I think the only thing you can do is continue to like innovate and try and put out products you want to do, and let everyone else try and copy you. It's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? You can't focus too much on all that. You just got to keep doing you and let them try and just emulate everything you're doing. As long as you're the original that everyone's trying to watch and copy, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you recently created the Space Shuttle SSD.
Yeah.
You got into the memory space, which is wild. I mean, you go from physical, from filters, and now we're stepping into external hard drives. And your hard drive is really fucking fast.
Right.
you go and you look at Lacey, you look at SanDisk, you look at Samsung. What did you feel like they were doing wrong that you were like, yeah, there's space here that we can actually dominate in this niche?
I mean, it was kind of a happy accident. Honestly, full transparency, it's like the CPA that we worked with also worked with the company that was a tech company here in Arizona. He was like, yo, I think there could be some great synergy between you guys. You guys literally, like, you have editing products and you have to put those on hard drives. I have a company that can make hard drives. They're a tech company, and like, you guys should talk. And we just sat down and talked. It's like, yo, can you guys make us a hard drive? And they're just like, yeah. And so we partnered. Like,
wow.
So again, it's just recognizing opportunities. Like, hey, we literally ship our digital products out on hard drive. Like, we had a bundle option. You can pick either like a Samsung T7 or a Lacey, and we would put our master bundle, all of our digital assets from the store on that and ship it out. And it's like, why don't we ship that out on our own drive? And so that's kind of, where we went down that rabbit hole to do that. And so, that's how we got into that.
Did you get the first sample, or did you get the first product and you're like, I need it faster? And then you got the next one, you're like, faster.
No, honestly, I was shocked. Shocked at how fast it was. And it was just like, yeah, this is great. And we saw all the benchmarks and the testing and everything. We went through that whole process, and it was like, I mean, I don't know how you can get much faster than, or better than this all the way around. I will say the only thing about it is like that we're still trying to figure out is like, it does get pretty hot. And there's a lot of people who think it's like failing or like it's like having issues, and it's like, no, it gets really hot to the internals that it has, and to have the speed that it has, and it gets hot.
Do you worry about that, getting into the memory space of potentially having a product that could fail? Or like, did you guys do so much testing beforehand?
Well, that's the thing, drives fail all the time. I have an OWC drive that just failed on me, and I spent $5,000 on that. So it's like, and then you have, I mean, it was massive a couple months ago. SanDisk had drives failing all over the place. And what's crazy is nobody wants to like, well, I mean, they probably did throw shade at him, but like, if something like that were to happen to someone like me trying to start, I would be fried over the internet. But then SanDisk, this massive corporation company, just gets to like sweep it under the rug like it never happened, and still continue to sell those on Amazon at a huge discount price, knowing that they're failing. Blows my mind. And it's like, then there's someone like me trying to like, a filmmaker creative trying to like build a product and grow a brand, and then if something like that were to happen to me, they would crucify me.
Totally. Yeah, it's so crazy.
So it's tough. That's the hard thing about like when you are like an individual or a brand that has like started a business or company. It's so much easier to go at someone like that than like this kind of like faceless, like saying like, what are you gonna, all the people out there, who do you go after at SanDisk? You know what I mean? Like, you don't even know where to. It's just like,
it's not even like it's a brand, like we know it, but it's not like there's no fucking face to SanDisk.
No, you can hardly get in contact with like the customer service.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. Even from like a Prism side of things, like we're a small team, and I feel like Anna does a great job as best she can, like getting back to customers. And I can't tell you how many businesses that I email and don't hear from for days or a week, or like, oh, we'll get back to you soon. But it's like, and they're a massive corporation that could pay someone to do that. And yet here we are with a small team, like every day clearing out emails, and we'll still get, oh, I didn't get a response, and it turns out I went to their spam folder, and then they want to roast us on Instagram and be like, terrible customer service, we'll never order from them again. It's just like, if you start any sort of business that's public in that way, I mean, just get ready to get shit thrown at you all the time for sure. Like, it's just gonna happen. You can't please everyone, and it happens to us. And since I'm like more so like the face and the front man, the person who like talks mostly about the stuff, and I handle the social media, and I'm good at that stuff. I'm the target, Yeah. It's not the other people on our team. It's Jake. So
coming after you.
Yeah.
So on Tropic Color, we can subscribe to a monthly situation, or we can go for the year. In the beginning, was the business model set up like that?
Well, it's still a la carte too.
Yeah, no, I know. You can buy it, but when did you kind of make the switch to like, hey, maybe let's try out a subscription? And
Last year we launched it, but at the end of last year.
Did that work better, you think, than the a la carte, or has it blown your expectations away? What's kind of been the shift towards the subscription model?
I don't think it's blown our expectations away by any means. I mean, I think it's hard to just get people to subscribe to anything.
Completely.
You know, so it's like I wasn't expecting going into that to just have these crazy numbers. It was more of like we've had our agency kind of suggested it, but also, and we were like super against it because we didn't want to be those like guys that put our thing behind a subscription. But our agency suggested it, and then we did get a lot of DMs and questions and stuff like, hey, have you guys ever considered a subscription model? And it's like, okay, so people do want a subscription, or some people would like one, you know, and so we just went for it, but we wanted to make sure you could also still get our products a la carte. We didn't want to be like, oh, no, it's exclusively a subscription now. So you can get them a la carte if you only want to buy one thing, or you can subscribe and get monthly drops. We also roped our like courses and education into that, and discounts, and there's other things than just, downloading products. But
so I met with someone a minute ago that was a Facebook ads person, okay, and they were chatting with me about products under $100, and they were explaining to me how they think it's very difficult to get like you put in 1,000, you make 50, like 1,250 or something. And I want to know from your perspective, because obviously you're doing a good job at it, you've had scalable products. What have you noticed that is actually worked as far as advertising goes? Because you do have a built-in audience. You have a great group that's like, yo, I'm going to support Jake no matter what he does. But for these new customers to acquire, is it certain type of creative that you've like, this is actually a winning ad? Or what has that process been like to actually acquire a new customer? Because it's hard to get.
It's definitely gotten harder and harder and harder, for sure, across the board. Like it's way harder now than it's ever been to acquire a new customer, or to get them to convert off an ad. And like, I mean, where we find the most success is the formula that I kind of have that might help a lot of people is like, we basically, if we make like a promo video, like a UGC or whatever, and it performs really well on Instagram, just naturally and organically, it's like, all right, rip that video and run it as paid media. That's kind of like our formula right now.
So you'll take it off the page and then run it as an ad, or you'll keep it running?
I'll use like a repost app to rip the video and then upload it to a Google Drive where it's like, hey, this performed well on Instagram, you guys should try running it as an ad. And then that's kind of like our formula right now. Like back in the day, we used to run ads for high quality looking 16:9 promos and very saucy. And it's like, just over time that's gotten performed less and less and less. Cause I think people know when they're being sold, and when they're watching a promo, like you see something like that, you're like, skip. But if you see something where it's like someone's phone video and they're showing you something and tutorial, or what's up, talking, like it just converts so much more.
I think that's the filmmaker in you though. Like you're so used to creating this high quality content, and you're building this brand, and you want your brand to be of a certain standard.
You have to walk this line.
Yeah.
It's been hard. That transition's been hard because it's like, as a filmmaker, you want to create that high quality content that elevates your brand and makes it look good. And it's like, dude, are we really like sitting here with our phones right now making ads and promo content? Like, but that's what works. And sometimes you have to let your ego go of like, like I don't want to be making that stuff. I'm a filmmaker, and what's best for the business, what's best for the brand, what's going to help it grow. And it's like currently right now it's phone UGC style content that's not overly produced. And that's what, we're kind of, focused on now. It's unfortunate because it's like, as the filmmaker in me wants to make a beautiful promo video, but I know that money and time we would put into that would not be, the ROI on that would not be as good as something that's a little more just natural and organic, I guess.
Speaking of money and you taking big risks, something that you guys offer on Tropic Color is the onset pass. We heard on a podcast that you took out $100,000 loan to start that. Was that a scary, just like I'm sure it was a scary decision, like how?
Not really.
Oh wow.
It wasn't that scary because we thought like I guess we had big expectations for it based on like, we had launched previously like a cinematography course online called Learn Cinematography, and that was during the pandemic, and we launched that, and we made over $1 million that year off that course. Like it just blew up, and we're like, people want to learn more stuff about film and stuff, and they want to learn it from us. So here we are. I don't know, it's a different time now, it's 2 years later. And we're just like, we're going to make this back easily when we drop all this content. That was not the case. It did not do well. And, but now all of that content that we made, that we took out that loan to make, lives over as part of like Tropic Color. So if you're an all access member, like you get to watch all that stuff as part of the membership. And so it's like, it still lives on. But it did not do well.
Why do you think that was?
I think a couple things. Times are different in terms of just like the eyeballs on us, as well as just content in general. And I think a lot of it was more geared towards the entertainment side of film rather than like just straight up like education. And it felt, again, it was a subscription, so you had to be subscribed to like get to this content. And it's like I just think people didn't want to subscribe to another thing, and it felt like, yes, it was like filmmaking education, but it was like done in a more like TV style thing. I don't know, I just, for whatever reason, it just didn't hit with people like we thought it would, and it just, it didn't really work. But it's like, that content's all available on Tropic, so it's not like a complete loss. People that sign up for that can access it and watch it, and there's some cool insight and content on there from our film studios to Tom teaching, how he got into Steadicam, to some cinematography breakdowns, this cool like 30-minute, like we have this one show on there called Reconstructed, where we literally walk a DP blind into a set with like, he has no idea what frame he's gonna have to recreate. We have gear in the corner and we show him the frame. It's an iconic movie frame, and he has 30 minutes to reconstruct that frame.
That's fun.
And it's really cool because you're learning, it's entertaining, and we're talking through like everything that he's doing, and then he show the shot side by side, and there's interviews with him. And so it's like, it's really cool, but it was like maybe hard to, people just didn't understand, and like, just for whatever reason, it just didn't hit.
Now, did the cinematography course that did so well, was there paid media that shot that off, or did you just post it and you think people were eager during COVID, like, yo, give me something to learn?
I think it was that. It was just right timing. The day we launched it, I remember we did like $26,000 in sales. It was like, oh shit, like
strictly Instagram, like you posted on your story in a feed post, and boom.
And so we launched it day one, 26,000. We're just like, oh shit, this is crazy. People, and like, it just, people were resonating with it, and I think we're excited about it. And like you said, it's just right time. Everyone's at home. It's like there's no jobs to be dead, so everyone's attention's like, well, let me learn something, let me take something in, or do something productive. And so it just did well. And over the course of that year, just through natural, organic, and then jumping into paid media, that's what got us there. So by no means is like the million just straight profit, because we did put paid media behind it at a certain point. I forget how early we did or not when we started that, but we did at some point put paid media behind it.
How often are you still filming and producing video content versus working on your businesses? And how do I say this? Like, do you ever worry about getting too far into the educational space with like the courses and the, digital products and all that kind of stuff? Because I feel like you have to almost walk a fine line of like, I still need to be making cool stuff to be able to teach about it.
For sure.
Or do you feel like you've been in the game for so long that you've put in your time that now you can like, okay, I can just teach about it?
No, I feel like that's always kind of the fine line you have to walk when you're trying to do the stuff that I do, is like, you still have to have your foot in the game, so you have a valid like validity in why someone should listen to you. You know what I mean? And so I feel like I've always done a good job. I'm definitely taking way less productions than I ever have right now. But like, if the right project comes across my desk, like, I will stop what I'm doing with those and go work on it. Like, I just shot a bunch of stuff for Kyle. Just shot this big interview with Kevin Durant. Like, when the right project comes up and it's like, oh yeah, I want to do that, then I go do it. But like, I'm not just gonna like, some random artist hits me up, has a small budget, I don't care about the song, like, I'm not gonna go do that. So it's just, but like, if I can also find a way to where I can use that enough to where it's like, oh, this is a cool enough project, and I can, even if it's not just a music video, if it's a documentary, a day shoot, whatever it is, if I can find ways to weave in my other businesses, then I'll do it as well. Because it's like, not only am I going to get paid to do this job, but I can go use my filters. Is this a project I'm now editing? I'll use Tropic products. Oh, like, you guys need a location to film it at? Let's shoot it at Barracks. Like, now I get a rental for my location. So it's like, I'm always like, bigger picture. Maybe it's not necessarily a job I want to do, or it doesn't pay what I feel like I should get paid, but like, oh, I can make it work for me in other ways and vertically integrate it into the other stuff that I'm doing.
I think a lot of creators too, from just the people that we talk to, the business side is kind of taboo. Like, most people don't like to talk about money. That is, in my brain, like, I'm more business minded, I think, than I am actually a creative person. And I think that you're someone who I admire a lot, the things that you've done in business. And I'm wondering, you know, for people I think are very afraid to like sell themselves or sell something.
No, I would agree.
And
it's scary.
It totally is. But I tell people this all the time. I'm like, you got to sell something, whether it's your time, whether it's something coaching, whether it's a physical or a digital product. And
that's a good point.
So when someone does go and they make the leap, when you start like, yo, I'm going to be an educator, was that moment at all scary for you in our space? Because I feel like some people are like, oh, you know, you're fucking selling your education. You're not doing the thing. But it's like, I'm sure you've had so many people that are like, yo, Jake, I just closed a 10K deal, or you're changing people's lives. Yeah. And when you do make that leap, what was that like to put yourself out there?
I mean,
like
it's cool. It's cool to I was talking to Tom about this again today. Like we've gotten messages like, yo, this course changed my life. Yeah. Like I am the filmmaker I am now because of it. Like even Danny Gervertz's DP on his film, I Think I'm Sick, took our course, and he DM'd
Giancarlo.
Is that his name? Right? Yeah. He DM'd Tom, was just like, yo, I just want to let you guys know I took your course, and I love it. So it's like to see people out there in the world doing cool stuff, and they took our course, like that's really dope. And from day one, I've always loved essentially teaching and sharing information. That's why I had a popular YouTube channel, because when I was 19 years old and I started it, I was like making behind the scenes videos on how I was making my videos and answering people's questions. And I made my video manual on how I did. So it's like something I've always done, and I enjoy doing it. I like helping other people, because there's people all coming up through the industry that would like on set, like, you know, oh, you don't show people how to do things, like or like I remember one time there was on set, this DP pulled out, or director pulled out like a big split diopter, and he was using it not in the way you would use a normal split diopter. He was holding it and dodging it, and he was like, don't tell anyone about this. And it was just like, this is my trick. And it's like there's people that would withhold, and I was just like, man, everyone should know about this. This is cool. Like, so it's like I've never I feel like been in that scarcity mindset, and I've always liked sharing, helping people. I mean, even to this day, the DMs that I get and the questions I answer through DMs, like people would probably charge hundreds of dollars an hour to answer, and it's like I don't do that, and I feel weird asking people. Like, I don't know, I just like helping people too, and I don't think I get enough credit for that, in terms of like people think I'm always selling stuff, because I have businesses, but like to your point, like, yeah, you have to sell stuff. And so I think a lot of people are just like, oh, Jake's always selling something, pushing something. And it's like, well, yeah, that's
how am I going to live?
I have to live. But like I do so much behind the scenes that like people will never see or talk about.
But I think like the online, you know, digital products, courses space gets a bad rap because there's these like fake gurus out there that are selling you bullshit. When the stuff that you're making, you truly know that if someone takes this course or buys your product, it's actually going to help them. And I think that's the difference.
That's a good point. That's true. I mean, because like everything that we ever like put out, you know, whether it's a course or a product, is something that like we either have learned ourselves, you know, through the years of film production and then made the course, or we wanted to use ourselves on set through experience of, you know, shooting, directing these music videos and needing and wanting something. So it's like everything that we push ourselves is a result of something that we wanted or needed ourselves in our own creative work. So I don't feel like anything that I'm pushing or promoting or selling, it's not like I don't know, it's just not something that I like am faking. It's like,
you're actually using it, and
it's authentic.
And I think too, like, you know, you just have people who see you doing something like that, and they're like, they probably want to do that themselves.
Dude,
I want to sell I want to have a cool product that I can actually push. And like, you know, I mean, I think though you brought up a good point earlier that I want to touch on is you're waking up from going to bed, and you have an excess of, let's say, $2,000 or $3,000, and you're not trading your time anymore for money. Was that shift when you finally make that and these products are actually firing off for you? Are you splitting your time more? Like, you're like, hey, you know, let's say for a DP shoot, let's just pretend you're like, okay, I get $2,000 for the day to go shoot something, and then you wake up and you have like a 4K or a 10K job, or like, you know, thing that just popped into your account. Do you begin to shift your mindset then, or was your mindset already shifted in the beginning of like, I know this digital stuff is actually going to pan out?
I will say it actually made it harder. Like what you're just explaining there made it harder to want to go do the actual filmmaking jobs, because I was like,
fuck yeah,
dude, why am I going to go kill myself on this music video
carry this red?
Yeah, when I can make. But I would say early on, like I was essentially double dipping, right? In a way, it's like I'm getting paid to go do this music video, and I'm also making money on the back end over here. And then I got to a certain point where it's like I didn't need to or want to go do those jobs anymore and kill myself, because I knew, I was getting into a more serious relationship. I had other businesses. I knew I wanted to start a family. And so now it's like I could certainly be making way more money now than like I did in the past, but I'm not, because I'm saying no to jobs all the time. And that's like a tough balance, because it's like you said, walking that line of like, at a certain point, like if you step too far out of the game, like, are people even going to listen to you or buy your products anymore? Because like, dude, he's not even a filmmaker anymore. When's the last time he's done anything? So it's like it's always that fine balance of like, yes, running your company's businesses, but then making sure you're still actively pursuing what is that got you these businesses in the first place.
I think the coolest shit, honestly, is that you get to choose what it is that you make, because I think that's something in this next year that I really want to do. I want to be able, and I feel like I've done a good job. The other day, this is funny, I had a brand hit me up, and I was going to come off a trip, come back to the state, or to California, and the next day was going to be like an 8 a.m. call, and their email was like, hey, it's an early shoot, but we don't have a big budget. And I just sent back, I'm not your guy. And it felt really good to be like, yo, I'm just not your guy for this, dude. This isn't, my kind of thing. And I think a lot of people envy that. Is like you even, text us, you're like, I can make my schedule work. And I think that is true financial freedom of not having, let me call my fucking boss and let him know what time I have to go do
I was like, where do you guys want to do it?
No,
LA here?
That was
you're like, can Saturday, Sunday? I was like, dude, whenever you just let me know.
It was the coolest shit. And when you make that pivot, do you find yourself though now more creatively fulfilled in the things that you do get to work on? And like, I'm assuming a lot of them don't just have to be for money. You could be like, yo, you did the horror film shoot, and you do that so contest.
The horror film festival, I don't make a dime off that thing.
You just do it because you love it.
I lose a bunch of money, but I just love it. I love horror films. Like, I put up the cash prizes myself. All of my businesses put up the other prizes. The amount of time that I have to spend organizing that thing is money lost, like, because I can't go do other jobs. So it's like, I just purely love doing that, and it's so fun for me. And I went and made my own film, of which I spent like $9,000 going and shooting a short film at my film ranch and my own Halloween film. And so it's like, but like I can do that because of the position I put myself in, and like you said, work on the projects I want to. So there's definitely, I don't know, there's times where I'm like, like I wish I was doing more productions, but then there's other times like, no, I don't. Like, what am I talking about? So I think the best part of it for me is like, when projects come across my desk that I want to do, I say yes. And if they come across my desk and I don't want to do it, even if it would be a good payday, like, I have the ability to say no, because I have this other stuff. And that's, as long as that could be my life for the rest of my career, like, I'm happy, And so, like even the other day, mutual friend who I did a big documentary for back in the day, there was an event out here in Scottsdale, and they were looking for a local videographer. He's like, yo, I know you're in AZ. Do you know any local videographers that can like go follow this football player at this like, award night event? And I was like, I can do it. And he's just like, are you sure? Like, you're not too big for that? And he's like, it doesn't pay great. And I was like, what's it pay? And he's like, $600. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I don't care. Like, because I'm not, like, I have these other things, and it's like, it was like football, sports. It was like, had he been like, hey, it's a corporate talk of it, I would have been like, no, I'm good. But it was like, it was interesting. It was football. It was a National Quarterbacks Association thing, big award night. Stars are going to be there. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be fun. And I could say yes to that, you know what I mean? And not scoff at like, oh, I'm $1,000 a day. Actually, speaking to that, I saw a podcast clip where you said it was something back in the day where they were saying like $500. And you're like, no, that's below me, because you had just done a job that was like $1,000 or something. Yeah.
I went and did
don't do
shit.
that. Especially starting out. Don't do that.
I did that shit that my cousin was like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm stupid, I'll do it. And they're like, it's still open.
Yeah, don't do that. Early on, man, I did anything and everything. I was doing free videos because I saw the bigger picture of where I wanted to go, and I wasn't focused on like the dollars running, I'm worth more than that, or I need to be paid for this. I was just always trying to like grow, get better, and just see the bigger picture of where things could go. And so I was never early on like I wasn't worried about like that.
So do you have maybe a specific piece of advice for someone wanting to get to that point of no longer trading their time for money? Is it needing to build a personal brand or some sort of brand that you can generate income from to where you're now in a position to be able to say no and turn down those projects that you don't want to shoot?
It's tough because like it's like I sit here and I say like, right, well, start your own brand, your own business, but that takes just as much work. Like that takes a lot of work and dedication to grow and build a business, period. Like, you know, building Prism and Tropic wasn't just like we're just not doing any work to get to where we are at. So you still have to do a lot of work to get there, but yeah, it can afford you. Like if you can grow it to a point where it starts paying you and it's profitable, then yeah, that will free up the time where now you as a creative can really work on the projects you want to work on. But there's going to be, I think right now people just expect like, oh, if I start this thing, if it's not profitable within a year, like ditch it off to the new thing, or it's like fail. And it's like, yo, it takes time to like build stuff. And I think right now with just the way like, you know, social media is, everything seems to happen so quickly. And yeah, if you're going to really build a long-term business that's going to provide you financial freedom, like it takes time.
We're noticing it with the podcast. Yeah. Like we've been at this for 2+ years and we were, you know, we always have this conversation of like, so when do you think we'll profit? Like, I mean, we're over 100 episodes in and we've put every single dime that we've made from the podcast back into the business. Yeah. And we have the foresight to be like, yo, in 5 to 10 years, I think what we can build from the podcast and build a community of people who support us, like we'll be able to monetize that way further than we will, you know, based off of a video that we'll make or taking photos of something.
Right.
But that takes time.
Yeah. You got to put in those reps.
Yeah. You got to put in the time and the reps. I mean, even like to on the biggest level, Joe Rogan, it's like, how long was he doing it before he got his $200 million Spotify deal? It's like, yeah, it's just, I think, how long has he been doing it? You know, like 15 years, 20 years?
It took 6 before it was even like, you know, profitable and whatnot, which we joke about all the time. I'm like, we got 4 more, baby. 4 more. Like,
but it's like that.
Keep it pushing.
What is it? The 10-year overnight success?
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, 100%. And like, there's like a lot of people that could even look at like, for example, if we start a new business and it pops right away or successful, it's like, oh, that was an overnight success. And it's like, no, it's all the years prior that have been built up that led to being able to make that thing happen a lot quicker than if someone else, you know, if that was someone else starting something for the very first time. And it's like, even with this studio, it's like we're a year and a half in, and we've always pretty much from day one, the first few months lost money and we weren't profitable. And then it slowly kind of crept up to that break even line. And I think now we finally, after the year and a half, have crossed over where now we're profitable so far, at least for 2024. We've been profitable January, February, and it looks like we will for March too. So yeah, but I mean, I also had years of experience opening and running other film studios that maybe even allowed this one to happen so quickly. And I will say Honeymoon popped right away. So there are exceptions, I guess, to the rule, but the reason Honeymoon popped right away is, again, what I had built up all those years prior of being a director, connected, working in the industry. And so when I then go and start this thing, it can then pop. Had I not done any of that, I'm just starting this thing from scratch, it would have taken me a lot of time.
With the studio spaces, we have buddies that have had them. We've had buddies that have bought and sold. And we'd have people that are just like hodling and they love it and they're making great money with it on Pure Space and whatnot. From your perspective, what has been something that if someone wants to get into the studio space, it's like similar to you when you're like, oh, I had like an epiphany moment with kind of my gear where I was like, I'm fucking renting this camera. It's $1,000 kit or whatever. I'm like, why don't I just go buy the kit and then rent it to them, you know, ourselves, or like we own the lights, like, you know, bring all that stuff together. From a marketing perspective and just like having them on Pure Space, because I went and looked at all your Pure Space pages. They have really good up-to-date photos. They're really pretty photos. What else do you feel like gets people to actually click book? Because I feel like that's, you know, you have a lot of different businesses, so you might have a little bit of like, if you have a bad month, whatever, we're gonna get them back next month. Right. But someone else that might be like, fuck, dude, like I really need this to be obviously not profitable instantaneously, but what are things that they can do from a marketing perspective or from, you know,
three things right off the top. Okay. Have really good pictures. I think if you have really good pictures that also maybe like paint what the set could look like if it was lit, like, and you know, I think that helps. Like, I feel like all of our photos like have a just high quality look to them, as well as like great angles and great lighting. So that's one thing. Obviously, I have great photos. 2 is like social media presence, like make content. If nobody knows about the studio, then, you know, you could be sitting on the back pages of Peerspace or Gigster, you know, if it's not getting booked. And how you get booked or how you move up those pages is obviously getting bookings and reviews and all that stuff. And so how do you get people in right away? Either with, you know, social media by letting people know about it, or you have good connections and whatnot. And then I think the third is how do you keep them there for as long as possible? Like, what do you have that's going to keep them there for more than 2 hours? Because like, how profitable can you really be if you're just getting small little 2-hour bookings here and there, or even, you know, a couple a day? It's like, you need to, how are you keeping them there for 10 hours? You know what I mean? Like, and having, you know, bookings like that, that can also make up for slow days, you know, when maybe there's a couple days where you don't have bookings. Well, we just had a big 12-hour day. So, you know, I think those are like 3 just off the cuff things that.
Can you give us a specific example of something that you, you know, put into one of your studio spaces that were like, okay, this I feel like will specifically make someone stay for longer than just 2 hours?
Well, I think just with the first one being honeymoon with the house, it's like, it was a whole house. So you had, you know, you had the bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, the yard, like you just had like spaces to shoot that all connected. And so people would show up and be there for a long time. It wasn't like we were like a selfie studio with like, you know, a couple rooms that you go take a couple photos in and bounce, you know what I mean? So, and then same thing with Eclectic. It's like 40 acres, desert, got a plane crash, a cabin, a convenience store, like all these things that just like keep people there and get these big crews and big shoots to come through. That's not like a 2-hour photo shoot, you know, or gimbal music video.
Yeah. Do you have any horror stories from renting your spaces?
Dude, it's too many to count. Too
you
many.
Have great insurance.
Too many to count. Yeah, there's been quite a number, and that's actually why we sold the house honeymoon, and then we rebuilt it like in a warehouse in downtown LA, because it's not a house anymore. Like literally a year after getting it, had to put it up for sale because I was like, can't deal with this anymore.
Just too much shit.
The neighbors were just absolutely insane, always calling the cops and complaining and stuff. It was just a lot, and it was stressful, and so we're just went and sold it. But fortunately, because it was real estate and I had purchased that property, the property value had gone up like $150,000 within that year. So I sold it, and, you know, not only got my down payment back, but probably made over $100,000 in profit in the equity growth of the property, and just took all the furniture and moved it to a warehouse downtown. So.
I was joking with Braden. I was like, McDonald's, people think they're in the business of selling
real
burgers,
estate.
But it's real estate. And I feel like you're the same way. Like the studio space is kind of a front, but you're actually a real estate mogul.
Yeah. So like, I regret selling honeymoon now. I wish I had held on to that property, because now like I went and looked back and it's like over 1.2 million now, and I bought it for 730. So I'm like, fuck, I would be up like 500K in equity. And so I regret selling that. But I was just so like, it was just so stressful at the time. I just wanted to like be done and away with it. And that's definitely like a regret that I have. And my wife always lets me know about it. She's like, should have fucking kept honeymoon. But then, yeah, that's why I bought Eclectic, the 40 acres, and, you know, the other spots we lease, because it's very, very expensive to buy commercial real estate in LA. And so, yeah, anything property wise, like that's more of like, land, property, house, like, you know, purchased and run, you know, Peerspace, Gigster, Airbnb and stuff out of, because I have a couple rentals. My house I have on Peerspace, like our backyard, and those like I own, and then more so like the warehouse locations are all leased. Yeah
with the leasing or with owning, right? Like sometimes in real estate you could have like, I had a friend who had like a fucking pipe burst in his one little home, and he's like, dude, Fig, I just spent 10K on this pipe. If there have been situations like that where you're like, dude, I just put in my 20%, now the fucking AC unit's out.
Eclectic for sure.
Really?
We have issues with that out of Eclectic. There's a well out there, and just stuff with electricity, water, power and stuff out there. Also like zoning for, you know, shoots and permitting and stuff like that, stuff we're having to go through there right now. Even to my house, you know, just it's not I wouldn't necessarily classify my house as like a film location. Yes, we rent it for like events and photo shoots and whatnot, but like, yeah, there's probably 2 different times like pipes, plumbing burst in the backyard leading out to the back, got to spend $15K to get it all dug up and replaced. And it's like, that's the one downside to like property ownership, home ownership is you are responsible for that, versus if you lease a place, like the owner's responsible for that. So there's like pros and cons. Obviously lease too, way more or way less money down up front, because you don't have to spend 20% on the purchase price. It's just first month's, last month's, and the deposit. So it's like there's pros and cons, but at the end of the day, like you don't have equity in that. Like I don't have equity in this building right here. So it's like every month that I'm paying towards rent, it's just out the window. It's just gone.
Just burning that money, setting it on fire.
Well, okay, so with your home that you actually just bought a new home, and it was funny because on your Instagram you had posted this photo, and it was a guy like who was a fucking asshole, and he was like, with your bald head or something, and you're like, yeah, dude, I just bought a fucking house, so thanks for that. And you put his face or his tweet on the hoodie.
Yeah, his Instagram comment.
That was sick. I loved that. When you do get this Airbnb, I know you had said in your caption you bought it from someone who you knew. You're like, this person already has a healthy Airbnb business.
Right.
It's being rented out. It's being rented out.
Yep.
I think every day on Twitter, I see fucking some person's like, Airbnb's better than a doornail. And the other guy's like, Airbnb's popping. Airbnb's doing super well. With that house in particular, when you decide to go back into Airbnbs, not just, your studio rentals, do you have a lot of knowledge in Airbnb, or are you just like confident that, hey, this thing's renting, you got spring training here in Arizona? What's kind of your thought process for going and purchasing a home, not just for...
The very first two homes that I ever bought in 2015, 2016, I turned in both of those into Airbnbs. It was a different time then, obviously, like Airbnb was super popping and they did really, really well. But then, I realized, okay, there's like I said earlier, there's a ceiling here, $150 a night versus $150 an hour. And so then I sold one of them, bought the film studio, then I turned the other one into a long-term rental. So I just had someone in there long-term just paying rent. And then, recently it was just like, I need somewhere else to put my money, and I don't have like a new venture or anything I want to start right now. And real estate's always been, good to me so far. And he basically was our realtor. We were looking for a spot, couldn't find the right spot. And then he was just like, I might be willing to get rid of my Airbnbs. Like, I'm trying to get more liquid to potentially do this new thing that I want to do. You guys are looking for investment. We can't find the right house for you. Like, would this work? And so he showed us the numbers. It was profitable. It was nice. It was a good area. We're like, yeah, this could be good. And it just made it easy because he was already a realtor. So it wasn't a hassle of like all these negotiations and back and forth. And we just talked it through and made it work for both parties. And it just made sense. Right. And so we got it, and it's doing solid. Every month it's so far been profitable, not by a lot. I think like on average anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a month.
That's great
profit.
Yeah.
So, and then my mortgage is being covered by the Airbnb users. And so, and if it ever like gets to be too much or too stressful, because we've already had a key go missing, the jacuzzi stopped working, someone couldn't get into the gym, like just all this stuff, right? So you have to it's more work than a long-term rental. But if it were ever to be like too much, too stressful, okay, we don't want to deal with this anymore, or it's not really making the money it used to and it's not really worth our time anymore, then I would just put a long-term renter in there, and we'd still be profitable every month. Just it wouldn't be by a lot, but the goal would be to hang on to that house for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, however long. And if we need to get more liquid, cool, now sell this. So it's just a place like you would rather have your money sitting in that than just sitting in the bank doing nothing. You know what I mean? So we just had some extra money, made sense, cool, do that. And if there's ever, for whatever reason, we need a bunch of money to make a different investment or a different play, then we could sell that and do this other thing. So one of the big things I want to do, and I haven't figured out yet if I want to take out a loan to do it or use my own money, is I want to build a motel at the Eclectic West. So I want to build a motel out there. I have the plans and what it's going to look like, but it would cost like $300K. And
fully, I'm like, working? Like you want guests to stay there, or just as a set?
No, that would be cool. Someone said do both. Just like a set, like, the front, but also like the inside of the room and office, like you could go in them and stuff, but like build a motel out there, and it would probably be around $300K to build, or just shy. And it's just like I don't know if I'd take out, like, I know it would be profitable and bring a ton more business out there, but I haven't decided yet, like, if I want to like finance it myself, get investors, get a loan. I've always self-funded everything, but that's a pretty big thing. But that property is fully paid off, so I don't owe anything on it. And if I took out a loan, now I owe something on the property. So I'm kind of like, do I wait until I save up enough money where I can just pay for it? And then I just know, because I own that land outright, and I know that would generate thousands of dollars every month having that there. Or do I take out a loan, not use my money, but now I have like, you know, a 30-year payment on this property now. I don't know. So
something else you told us that you want to do eventually is a full feature.
Yeah. Oh, I have so many ideas.
And I don't doubt it. Do you have like a timeline, a goal of when you would like to accomplish that by and make your first feature?
Not necessarily. Like there's times where I'm like, I feel behind the 8 ball. Like, why haven't I've had friends in the industry that have worked on features or done features or are trying to plan and get stuff done, or I'm like, damn, why haven't I done one yet? But it's a little different. I have all this other stuff going on, you know what I mean? And but I think when the time's right, I have lots of ideas. I have a folder on my desktop with all my different feature ideas, some scripts that are fully completed, some that are just like bullet point outlines of stories or pitch decks. And when I think it'll happen one day, but I'm not like too worried about, oh, it has to be by this year or this time frame. I think the later I get in my career too, I'll be more ready for it. Like I still have so much going on. If I were to like go do a movie right now, I just feel like my mind wouldn't fully be in it because I have all this other stuff that's like still like cooking and moving, and that's not a good place to be if you're trying to direct a movie. So at some point it'll happen.
I'm excited to see, you know, your movie that you end up creating one day. That's going to be sick.
I have a crazy story. Like, again, it's just like go out and make the things you want to see be made. Cause like I'm a huge fan of the Strangers movie.
Stranger Things?
The Strangers from 2008.
Okay.
It's like a home invasion. They got these masks on, and it was a really popular movie in 2008. One of my favorite horror films of all time. And one time I was like, I just want to make my own fan film version of that. We went up north to our family's cabin. Me, Tom, and a couple friends, we made this Strangers fan film, put it out on YouTube, and I got an email one day, not long after the short had been put out on YouTube, and it was like, hey, my name's Roy Lee. I produced the original Strangers movie. Saw your short. Just wanted to say great job. I was like, oh, okay. Like, just like not even thinking anything of it. You're just like, yeah, thanks, dude. Like, and then I was like, wait, I have the Strangers movie poster on my movie room at home, and I like go into the movie room and look, and it says Roy Lee, Vertigo Entertainment, and his sign off was Roy Lee, Vertigo Entertainment. And I'm like, holy this is the fucking owner of the production company that made that film. Like, and so I emailed him back, and I was just like, hey, I forget what I said now, and
you want any filters? Like, I got you.
Well, I don't even know if we had started Prism at the time yet, because this was like 5 years ago. It was right around the same time, and so I emailed him back, and then he was like, do you have any original ideas? Like, this was phenomenal, like, work. It was really good. And I was just like, yeah, I do. And so next time I was in LA, because I was in Arizona at the time, I met them down at their headquarters in LA, Vertigo, and I'm walking and I see It posters on the wall. They were just in production on the first It. And like, just, I went into his office and all these movie posters, awards, The Grudge, freaking, all these, like, he's one of the, like, horror goats in terms of producers, like, or production companies, producers that has had his hands in a lot of major horror films. And we talked for like an hour, and he had told me, he's like, hey, if you bring me a short film that is original, scary, and shows that you can do that, I'll get you a $5 million feature, like, no question. And so over the years, I've just like sent him stuff I've done, not it, try again, or this, that, like so many just little here and there. And so it's like, I know I have the skill. I know I have the ability. Like, I wouldn't be in that man's office if it weren't for that. And I know I have the ideas, because very similarly, I did a short film, had this idea, sent it to him. He's like, oh, I have a movie coming out next month with that, like, that concept. And I was like, no fucking way. And fuck.
Damn it.
And
Back to the drawing board.
He put me in an email with the director, and they're like, hey, our premiere's next month. If you want to come, let us know, And it was the idea I had. Like, it was like, damn, like, so I know I can make a movie, and I know, like, my head's in the right space and my ideas are good and my skill set as a director is there. It's just a matter of, when I want to fully dive into that. I think when I'm ready to fully dive into that, I can make it happen. Mm-hmm. But I have to be at that point, and I'm not there right now. I just have too much going on. Yeah.
You recently partnered with Edgar.
Yeah.
Tell me about how that relationship started, and what exactly is Shadow for those that don't know.
So Shadow, it's a platform where basically the film community can get a variety of opportunities. There's a community board, there's a job board. People can come shadow us on set, like, you know, Edgar and a lot of the productions they have going on over at Blank Square and through his production company, and we're going to do some stuff together through me and him and Blank Square and some jobs, and I'll be able to pull members off the platform to come shadow on set. And yeah, there's a community board where people can chat, connect, and also like, you know, like just connect for jobs themselves as well. And there's a job board as well, so like, you know, if 10K music video might pop up, or 25K music video. One just finished, 25K budget out in Atlanta for an artist that was done completely by a shadow member. He pitched through the platform. He had the best pitch. We've connected them to the artist, and he landed the job, and we didn't take a cent from him. So there's like really cool opportunities through there. There's also like, we want to add more to it in the future, but there's like awarded treatments from, like, you know, the Ice Spice Princess Diana music video treatment that Edgar directed. That's on there with like his director's notes and like a bunch of other music videos as well. So what we want to start doing too is also with the winning jobs of people through Shadow is, you know, upload their final videos and their treatments and why did they win this job, and here anyone who's a part of the community can see why they were chosen out of, you know, and just kind of building a community where there's opportunity. Because when we were coming up, man, like the industry is so jaded and everyone's secretive and this and that, and like just creating opportunities for people. And Edgar's such a cool guy, and he's done a lot of big shit, and I feel like he respects everything that I've built and everything I've done for the community, and understands like where I'm coming from when I've built all these companies and businesses that give back to the community. And he's just like, yo, I want to partner with you on this. I respect everything that you've done and built, and I likewise to him. It's like he went from this undocumented, you know, immigrant to having one of the biggest production companies in LA for the, you know, directing music videos for the biggest artists. And so I don't know, I think just mutual respect, and it was like, I've done a lot of stuff for the community, built a lot of businesses around that, and this is something that was really passionate, like a big passion project for him that he wanted to do, and it was just like, yo, let's join forces on it. So
I've been following Edgar for a minute, and I always really admired, because I had never really seen any other big successful director just post on their story like, yo, I'm filming a video tomorrow, like text me if you want to pull up.
Yeah.
And the fact that you guys have come together.
But I've always done that too, you know what I mean? And so I think he understood that, and we just, very similar thought process in that way.
I just admire the fact that you guys are like putting your money where your mouth is, and like you've built up this community, and like, what good is community if you're not giving back to them? Like, you guys have these massive platforms. It's just like really dope to see you guys give back in a real way. Like, a lot of people I feel like can talk about it and say they want to help out or do all these things, but you guys are actually giving people real tangible opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, Edgar's done a really good job so far. And then likewise, like, you know, all coming up similarly to that, like on jobs, I would put out Instagram stories like, hey, yo, if anyone just wants to pull up to set tomorrow, I'm shooting this music video, you're welcome. And it's like, you know, I would have random people pull up to set and just like be on set and help out, whether they wanted to do behind the scenes photos or just PA or just hang out and watch and learn. And so, and I know Edgar has always done that. And so I think Shadow is kind of like just a bigger extension of that can grow into something with a lot of opportunity for people. Like, you know, like I said, this person just got a 25K budget for this artist out of Atlanta and directed it all through this platform. You know what I mean? Like, that opportunity wouldn't have existed without Shadow. And so I just think it's really just the start. I mean, launched in December of last year, so it's only been a couple months. Like, wow. So there's I think it can go a lot of really cool places. We just had a long call the other night talking about all the places it could go, and even doing like, I suggested like doing something called like Shadow Connect. It's like, yo, I have a film ranch. What if one day we just, all Shadow members, we're meeting out at my film ranch. Let's just come hang out, have a good time. Like maybe have food there and just talk and connect and whatnot. So there's a lot of cool things we could do with that platform. And yeah, it's really going to be just a passion project, you know, and see where it could go.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah. If you guys are listening, go check out Shadow, because that sounds dope. It's like, not only are you giving people opportunity, but you're bringing the community together and it in a space where it can feel super, not only isolating, but when you're first starting out, you're like, how do I even get opportunities to get on set? Yeah.
That was one of the biggest things for me early on when I moved to LA and I was able to get onto some of these big sets. That was instrumental in me, seeing do I want to do this? What area do I really want to be in on set? And just meeting people, connecting. I got on a few big budget music videos when I first moved to LA, and that's ultimately what got me in with this one director, where we still have a relationship to this day, and we've probably done so many projects together over the last decade, and it was because I got on this one set and met this guy. And so you just never know how getting on set can help, and it's I've seen that time and time again from people I've brought on set. And so I think that's what's cool about Shadow. It's that's just a small part of it, but I know even the other night, I can't give away too much information on it, but Edgar was in Dallas because there was a 7-figure commercial going on for one of the biggest brands in the the country and world, and he brought someone on set to just come hang out and watch and see and just be a fly on the wall. And it's dude, the opportunity to get on something like that is crazy, and it was because of Shadow and that platform that is there and exists now. You know what I mean? That's pretty wild. If I was coming up and I could get on something like that, yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna sign up.
Priceless.
Yeah, seriously.
If you need a discount code, let me know. It's on the side. I got you. Actually, I could probably give you a free membership.
Okay,
I could probably give you a free membership.
So,
I have
charge him for that
memberships
filter.
I can give them out.
Charge him for the filter.
Yeah,
thank God I'm talking to you.
I'll give you a free membership, but I'm charging you for the filter. No, I'll give you a free filter too. Don't even trip.
Okay, I got one more for you. What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self before you went to ASU, before you graduated from film school and started these businesses? If you could go back and say one thing, what do you think that would be?
Man, it's tough because it's everything's kind of worked out pretty well for me. So I would say to network more, but because I'm very introverted. I don't like to go out to parties and network with people and chit chat and small talk, and if I'm out in public, I'm not chopping it up with the cashier somewhere. My father-in-law is very chit chatty and will talk with anyone and loves to it's just that's who he is, and I'm not that way. And that was I think a big struggle for me to get work early on, is because I was introverted and I didn't like networking and going out and meet, because so much you can not even be probably that talented and be in the right spots if you just know the right people and be connected in that way. So networking is huge. If I could go back and tell myself anything, it would be to network more, or to try and network, or to try and be a little more outgoing in that way. And who knows what doors that could open. But then it's well, if I did that, would I be where I'm at now in this area regard? So it's tough to say, but that was one thing I wish I was better at coming up, if that helps or makes sense.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? Yeah.
Dude, well, thank you so much for coming on. This was awesome. Thanks. It was an amazing conversation. I
hope so.
Yeah, I'm going to link all of your socials down below. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 102 of the 505 podcast. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Later.
Peace.